Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar news update video. So, a few little bits and pieces to cover here. I would say nothing huge, but you know, there's some interesting stuff. First of all, Reckoning of Roku audiobook, we now know who the narrator is, and yes, it is Nancy Wu. So for the 5th book in a row for Chronicles of the Avatar, Nancy Wu is going to be the audiobook narrator. Now, this was up in the air a little bit because obviously until yesterday we didn't know who the audiobook narrator was, but also because we had a new writer here for this book, because there was a new cover artist. Maybe they were going to change up a bunch of the kind of creatives across the whole release here, but no, it seems like they're going to be consistent here. Nancy Wu is the audiobook narrator. The only other reason I think they might have switched it up is just that, as far as we're aware, most of the main characters in this book are going to be male characters, so they might have wanted to get a male narrator in to do things just to make that work. But you know, it'll be a chance for her to really get to showcase a lot of her kind of male voices here, doing this book with Roku, Gyatso, Sozin, and maybe some other characters in focus here. So, yep, 23rd of July is the audiobook release date, as well as the hardcover. Beyond just waiting for the release, the excerpt, the first preview, should be coming like any day now, any week now. We're getting to late May, early June. This has been when a lot of the previous books have had their kind of preview chapters and stuff like that. Of course, the second they drop, I'll do some sort of a live stream or video covering the excerpt, but we're just waiting for it to actually hit. Same goes for the audiobook kind of preview. That probably won't be until much closer to the release, as in 3 to 4 weeks to go. So we're probably still about a month maybe away from getting a full-on preview of the audiobook, but that's just where we're at with the Reckoning of Roku. Slowly building towards the release now, where we're, today's the 23rd of May, 23rd of July, exactly 2 months to go. So that's pretty exciting. Next up is some merchandise news, and it's that Avatar is going to be getting some of these Bitty Pop Funko Pops. So what these are these tiny Avatar Funko Pops. They are very, very small. Just to give a little bit of perspective here, if this is the size of a normal Funko Pop, because you can see there's an Iroh in here. Yeah, Iroh's part of this. These, I believe, are a quarter of the size. They are, I believe, your standard Funko Pop is about 4 inches tall. I believe the situation there is that a standard Bitty Pop is under an inch tall. So you're talking about only that size, give or take. That's how big these things are. So interestingly, you can see here the way it's done is that they're effectively sort of groupings of characters, but then each of them has a chance for a mystery character. So you can see one grouping is, of course, Aang with Momo, Appa and Toph. Another one is you get Azula, Ty Lee, and Zuko. Another one is Iroh, Ozai, and Zhao. And then there's Katara, Sokka, and Suki. And then the fourth that you get in each of them is basically you have a chance to get any of these kind of random ones here. So you can see here, 1 in every 3 boxes, so these are basically the common ones that you can get, is the Zuko, but with the kind of standard fire. Interestingly, here with the Bitty Pop, I think the exclusive one in the bigger scale was the fire daggers, whereas this is the standard one, but they've kind of reversed it here for the Bitty Pop. And then this is a more recent release. This is Aang holding the kind of air ball to stay up. This is also 1 in 3. And then the rarer ones, which is 1 in 6 boxes, is the newer Iroh mold with the lightning, and then also Boomy on the throne, which is interesting because that one was actually a pop deluxe, but they're making it kind of small scale here. The other thing here is that you do get a bit of a display kind of plastic case for them. So they obviously come in little mini Funko Pop boxes, and then you can put them into the little shelf thing that you get. And then I believe the boxes are themselves made of plastic as well. So there's a little bit more value, I suppose, here than just everything being smaller. I'm personally not really interested in them, mainly because while I suppose some editing has to be done to them as you shrink them down this small, they are effectively the same designs that we have in the normal Funkos, and there's nothing too fancy kind of beyond that, really. So I don't see myself grabbing any of these. Maybe down the road, if like we get to a situation where these do quite well and they start releasing these quite regularly, then it will be a way where like, oh, maybe there's new designs at this scale and there's more characters that will only be featured here, or it's a cheaper way to kind of collect these designs. That's one thing, but it's early days. We don't know what the full situation is here, and so far there's no like brand new design here. So these, it seems like, are now up for pre-order on a variety of sites. This trackers here mentions a few of them, like Entertainment Earth and Amazon. So it's up to you, whatever way you want to do them. But just know that the idea is that by buying the 4 separate boxes, you can get this grouping here, 3, 3, 3, 3. But the 4 here, if you want to get them, it is more of a random chance. There's like a high likelihood, probably, I'm guessing, that if you buy 4 boxes, you maybe get 2 of the Zuko, 2 of the Aang, probably. Maybe you get 2 of this one, an Aang, and then 1 of these ones, but, you know, that's how they get you with these things, I suppose. But still, interesting that there's some new stuff going on. Maybe it's a sign that some of the rumors that we've had about, you know, those Funko Pop Deluxes from a few months ago, maybe those will get kind of spoiled, revealed at some point soon. But otherwise, we move on, of course. So the next piece of news is kind of interesting, and I got quite excited when someone linked me this on Twitter. So this is a news article from Collider. It's about the licensing expo that's going on right now. I think today's the last day. Avatar: The Last Airbender brings the 4 nations together at Licensing Expo. And then they note, like, Paramount also brought other stuff to the event. And it's like, oh, cool, exciting. Like, Avatar, star of the show at the Licensing Expo, that seems kind of exciting. But then immediately you go through the article and it's like nothing. There's effectively nothing here. So they just highlight that it's happening in Las Vegas. The Paramount booth is what they're talking about here. Vibrant with the decorations and stuff like that, IPs like Avatar: The Last Airbender. And so the Avatar section is effectively this. Leading the charge, apparently, was the animated feature Aang: The Last Airbender, which has set stage for its release on January 20th, 2026. Again, this is not new information. Fans were treated to stunning pillars of color and whirlwind designed to promote the film. The film will feature these voices. Note that they do include the Dante Basco information that he's Zuko. That I don't believe has been confirmed, but they're running with it. And just referencing the previous information that we got, which is all of this stuff here. And then you actually get the image, which is, you can see it here. These are the pillars that they were talking about. And it's just like, okay, water, earth, fire, air. Kind of nice images of the elements. Nice to see the symbols used. But as you can see here, it's the Avatar: The Last Airbender logo. And there's no characters in sight, really. Yet, apparently, this is leading the charge. I get to a certain degree the way the article is written. It's more of just, hey, they had these Avatar things at their booth. Here's what Avatar is doing going forward. But the article gives you the impression that, like, almost these pillars are here to promote the new movie, when otherwise it doesn't really come across that way, like, at all. So, like, was there any licensing news for Avatar to come out of Licensing Expo? I don't really know. Now, obviously, the idea of the Licensing Expo is that, you know, it's connected the world's most influential entertainment, character, art, and corporate brand owners with and agents with consumer goods manufacturers, licensee, and retailers. So the idea here is it's less a news about licensing event and more of a way for these licenses to come to fruition in the first place. It seems like franchises that are ready to go right now kind of do announce things coming out of this, but it doesn't necessarily seem like maybe Avatar was in that position just yet, which you can probably tell from the fact that the marketing is a little bit generic. They're noting that they have Avatar, that, hey, you can book appointments here to inquire about the Avatar license or whatever happens at these type of events, but it doesn't seem like it's specifically about the movie. Now, obviously, if you're getting into Avatar licensing, whatever company you're doing these days, I'm guessing the movie is probably part of that, but there's not really going to be any news that necessarily comes out of that, is sort of the idea. They have some other stuff, you know, as you go through like some of the other pictures, you know, they're obviously highlighting Smurfs, and you can see the idea of a much closer release. It's like, okay, logo and a date, some more imagery going on here. That's kind of interesting. They've got a Nickelodeon show for Smurfs. Okay, cool. And it's the idea of like, ooh, maybe next year Avatar will be in a position where an event like this will actually have actual Avatar stuff, but it seems like we're a little bit too early just yet on that front. TMNT has some stuff going on here, and you can see here there's images for like SpongeBob and other stuff going on here, but the Avatar is a little bit more kind of generic what's going on. Like even kind of the new Dora kind of has some stuff going on here. Sonic has a bit of focus here, but the Avatar stuff is kind of more general, kind of generic. You know, it's hard to be super disappointed just because it's like, okay, licensing expo, what does that mean? It's something, but the article maybe is a little bit like misleading as to what exactly this is. But anyway, that's pretty much all the news. And then I just want to highlight this right at the end here as like a bit of a, hey, like this is a really interesting timing on this. But today, you know, into tomorrow, basically marks 3 years since we first heard about Beasts of the Four Nations. So you can see here, I put up a video May 24th, 2021, talking about the reveal of the 6th Deluxe Edition, aka Beasts of the Four Nations. And you can see here on the video, 13th of October release date initially, and obviously in the 3 years following this, it's just been negative news to the point where this book currently is not announced. It does not have a date. There has been no mention of it from Dark Horse whatsoever. And the last update we have had on this book is apparently when pre-orders got cancelled, some people got messages from comic shops saying that like this has been cancelled by the publisher, but might be will be offered at a later date. And it has now been obviously over a year since that. And we're just waiting to see what's actually happening here. Has this book been full on cancelled? Because it's a weird thing, because it's May 24th. So this was a few months after Avatar Studios. So I don't know what happened here. Did some wires get crossed and this was actually like something different got planned, but because this was book publishing stuff, it got pushed out and they didn't catch it in time, and so they had to deal with that, and they actually have some sort of a bigger plan. But of course, anyone who has the other deluxe books is in a really, like myself, is in a bit of a messy situation where it's like, are we ever going to find out what is happening with this? So I hope at the upcoming conventions, Dark Horse maybe have something to say about this. But again, I would really put the question out there to people. If you are attending San Diego Comic-Con or New York Comic-Con in the coming months, if there is an opportunity to ask a question, I would highly recommend that your question be, what's happening with Beasts of the Four Nations? What's happening with this, the 6th Deluxe Edition? I think we need an answer at this point, because this has to be one of the worst handled things within Avatar that I think we've ever seen. The idea that literally there were previews world listings for this book, we had a cover, we had the cover for the deluxe set, places were taking pre-orders effectively. Like this book got to a more advanced stage of like ordering than the Mako comic, which we know is actually happening. Like that's the craziness here. We need to know something about what's happening here. So just to highlight that, 3 years of not knowing what's going on with this book. So yeah, there is the news. So yeah, quick recap again. Nancy Wu as the audiobook narrator is confirmed. Bitty Pops are coming out soon. Some Avatar imagery, I guess, at the licensing expo, but it seems a bit generic. And then, yeah, 3 years ago was when we first heard about Beasts of the Four Nations. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below, but otherwise that has been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.